on here. You can hear me. There we go. Okay, I think it works. So I wanted to just come on here and talk a bit about these sort of like wealth codes. This is the word that keeps coming to me over the last week, is this idea of like the DNA programming in our mind, in our body, and how we are operating from it. And I've been stepping into this new place of business and like money mindset, and the idea of shame, the shame and guilt around money that we all carry, is just something I've been exploring. And this morning, as I was journaling, this realization of another like story that had been showing up for me. So bear with me. If you have a journal, you can grab that. There might be some questions or prompts that I'll share that you can then explore for yourself. Okay. So, whew. So it started with this idea of stealing. Okay, what does it mean to steal? And I've had this sort of experience in my mindset where I have this worry that I am like taking someone else's idea or something that belongs to someone else. And I use that to then create like this fear response internal where I don't actually take an actionable step. And I was like, well, where is this coming from? You'll see in my video coming up or out this coming week. I shared a little bit about an experience I had in grade 8 where around like plagiarism and copywriting. So there's this kind of like academic side, which I think is so imprinted in all of us. And yet I was like, well, I've never taken someone like else's idea, and used it. Though I would say people have attempted to, at least in one occasion, say that I have, which was a very interesting experience. I don't think you can steal someone's idea when you cite it. But anyways, there's very like fine lines about this. So how does this relate to money, you might be wondering, or to your perception on the wealth code? So the invitation here is really for you to become honest with yourself around your personal story, just by asking, okay, where in my life have I maybe taken something that doesn't belong to me? And in your like this lifetime life, okay? And you could even go deeper here and then start to ask, what about in like my ancestral lifetime, the intergenerational part? And this is something that really stood out. It's like, okay, what about for me within my like family line? I am like biracial, so I come from like the colonial sort of like aspect, and then the African like enslaved person aspect. So you can see right there, there's this like combination of the two, perhaps even with the collective consciousness right now, where many people in here in like Canada are waking up to the fact that a lot of culture and things were stolen from all sorts of different people, okay, including the local like indigenous folks that lived here. I'm going to add, I have this on my face here this morning. This is something that has like called to me for much of my lifetime, this like face marking. And part of me was like, oh my God, is this me stealing from another culture? When I know in my like Nigerian culture, there's a wide range of facial markings, scarification and things that would happen. And yet this part of me that I wonder how much is intergenerational or collective kind of ancestral trauma that feels that like, oh my God, I'm stealing. So there are these stories we tell around stealing, and I feel like it does tie into the money aspect, what you're willing to receive, what you're willing to gift or give to others. And I want to remind you about how energy works here. When we talk about energy, which is what money is, I was reminded just yesterday about the fact that you might look at your bank account and see like, yeah, you have X amount of dollars, and like, what does that really mean? If we actually look at the bank account, is it not just a bunch of like zeros and ones and zeros and ones? I'm just going to show you. This is what is your bank account, okay? It's numbers in a computer program that you have allowed yourself to see. So we're going to start here with just erasing whatever you've been told about money. Oh, hi, Nolris. Sorry, I'm not pronouncing your name. Yeah, thanks. Molniers. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Money is a bio survival ticket tied to your subconscious. Cool. Ooh, Robert Anton Wilson. I'll check that out. Yeah. Yeah, and I thank you for saying that. There's so many different facial markings and things in the story of what are we taking and how are we stepping through the fear of that taking. And so we each have our own stories of um, creating the sense of, I want to say rebellion, and also the sense of counter opposition, if that makes sense, so that we can step past what makes us uncomfortable. Yeah, but I'm going to check out, yeah, Robert Anton Wilson. If you have if there's a book recommendation, I'd be curious. So back to this money code idea and the money. So money is energy. Energy is constantly in this ebb and flow, the waves of life. I was thinking about water going up and down on a beach. Okay. And as I was just sitting here looking out the window, watching the squirrel going back and forth between like the neighbor's backyard and our backyard, it's like he's somehow nested himself in the trees here. It's really interesting to just witness how nature too is in that place of flow. And nature doesn't carry the stories that we carry. And then it threw me back into this realization around like when it came to stealing or taking something. And when I was in high school, we lived overseas and like we didn't have a whole lot of control, like as the youth, you didn't really have whole lot of control over things like being able to get a job, for instance, which is very common here in North America. It works, things operate differently over there. And so I relied a lot on my parents for anything, whereas my friends had jobs during the summer back here, they or work throughout the year, they could like obtain money in different ways. I had to rely on my parents. And it like hit me. I was like, oh my gosh, when I was in, I want to say it was probably grade 11. Yeah, I want to say grade 11, grade 12. I started to get way more courageous. And I knew where my dad kept our like lunch money because sometimes they'd give us lunch money. And I would go and I would take like a little bit more. I wouldn't ask for it. I wouldn't even like acknowledge to him that like we needed more or whatever. It was like I just went and took it. And, I remember that like we grew up very religious. Like this stealing, I think it's one of the 10 Commandments, isn't it? So like this was like so counter. And yet this like part of me was like, I had to do this. And so this morning I'm just like, whoa, like I don't believe I did that. Like I was just telling my partner yesterday, my fellow like facilitator and I went to meet with someone to do like a post journey integration, and the individual sent me money. And part of me, the ego aspect that lives in the fear that, what did you use? I think you used the word, the bio survival ticket. I like that. The part of me was like, oh, like you got this money, like keep it to yourself. Like don't let it go back out. And I was like, it was weird because I'm like, well, she was there. We both did this together. She has no idea probably that this like client sent money. So I sent her a message, because like for me, I'm like, I operate out of integrity to the best of my ability. As all humans, I feel we do the best that we can at any given moment. And she was like, oh yeah. Anyways, so that just shows like for me, this transition in consciousness, this expansion over the years from when I was in grade 11, 12, whatever that was in high school, feeling like I had to survive, to now stepping into this place of thriving and recognizing the integrity, especially around money. When we have that integrity, that's also going to kind of, I want to say like it's going to boost or amplify, strengthen our DNA, our wealth codes, the way we operate, okay, around money, around abundance, prosperity. And so thinking back to that time in high school where I felt like I had to take more because I wasn't going to be able to receive otherwise. And the main things that came, and this is where I want to invite you, if there are stories around this or some money story or experience from your childhood, from your youth, where maybe it's been in your mind or it hasn't yet, and it's going to show up because we're having this conversation. This is how this stuff works. I want to invite you, like, really to get clear, ask yourself, okay, well, what was underneath this? For myself back then, it was the fear of asking for what I needed. I didn't feel like it was safe for me to ask or to speak my needs, just the way that my family was kind of operating at the time. And it's no judgment, it's how it was. I didn't feel like I had the power. It wasn't really instilled into us at that point. You know, the way our the religious programming was operating within my family story. And so this recognition now where I'm like, oh, like that's not me. I don't take, I'm in integrity now in this place of like, okay, I believe and want to witness more and more this ebb and flow of money, of these numbers. Again, the ones and the zeros that make up our bank account, the ones and the zeros that pretty much make up everything. If think of the matrix. And so, how can your story start to shift? Hi, Max Madden. Hello. Ooh, I'm seeing there's more comments here. Prometheus Rising. Oh, I have heard of that. I didn't know that he wrote that. Thank you. So with these wealth codes, this abundance code, with your story, the things that maybe you've been telling yourself around money, the things that you thought were true as to why maybe you felt like you had to hold things to yourself or keep things to yourself. I just really hope that for you now, you can start to break free from this, okay? Start to see that everything is giving and receiving, or gifting and receiving, as, even as I sit here again watching the squirrel, and it's like, I love squirrels. They're like kind of like this chaotic, like playful energy, yet determined. And I'm watching the squirrel. I'm gifting the awareness or recognition of like it's being seen, and it's gifting me this joy. And we're both receiving. He's receiving this being seen, the awareness. I'm receiving that joy. So seeing how everything is kind of interplaying with each other, that there isn't like one or the other. Okay. I guess I could even go as far as saying in that experience from a youth, like, okay, I'm taking this thing and I'm learning to become more integral around money, right? Like how is this whole gifting, receiving sort of energy, and how can we shift away from the guilt, the shame, and the main part is to just name it. Talk about it. If you need to call, or if you need to write in your journal first, if that's more comfortable for you about what's happened, then maybe I invite you to speak with a friend that you trust, or like a coach or someone. Like, this is why things like the confessionals and like in the Catholic Church exists. Like when we can name it, then we release the energy around it. We can come to see it in a different way. So no one's going to judge you. If anyone's judging you, well, then those aren't the people you want to talk to. Okay. Like, I'm really learning, like, there are going to be people who hate you, who speak about the things that you're doing, that tell you it needs to be done differently. I notice it on YouTube all the time. And it's just like, you just have to do yourself, be yourself, name what is going on in the shadow, bring it to light. And then from there, you transform it, or you transmute it into something, from that lead to the gold, like the alchemical sort of place of really stepping into your magical self. Okay. Oh, hi, Ivy. Oh, I gotta go back up here and read some things. Things that are the Constitution. Okay, I'm gonna check these out. Thank you, Milner. I hope I'm saying your name. Yeah, I've been working since I was 14, full-time after my third expulsion, construction trades. Money ain't a hard thing to find when everybody needs something fixed or repaired or built. And I love that, it's just saying like, when you need it or want it, when something needs to come through, it's going to come through. It's amazing to me. And I'm really just putting the barriers down, as my coach would say, putting the barriers down and relinquishing the control on how the money or the things need to come, just allowing oneself to be in a place of presence and breathe so that we can regulate the nervous system. And then from there, we can take the action, okay? Trusting that it's all going to show up the way it needs to. Respond to the way the world is operating around you. And this type of healing work, shifting the program, the code within on how you perceive wealth, how you perceive money or abundance. This is going to really aid what you're doing in your life. So I appreciate you coming on. I wasn't planning on staying on here long. There's no Ouroboros 713 gathering this morning. I'm in like a ritual event all day today. My kid has her theater production. All the best today, Ivy. And I look forward to seeing you guys very soon. There'll be another live. It's kind of the beginning of May. And yeah, check out the channel. Subscribe if you haven't. And there's lots of different details on the description. So I'll see you guys soon. Bye.